Hi everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And in this one, I want to answer a question that a viewer asked recently. And the question goes something like, does anyone else struggle to pick up one thing, one hobby, free time activity, and commit to it? Do you find yourself constantly needing to start or do something new or get very hyped up about it, and then after a while you need something else because you feel that it doesn't suit you or your personality or your views anymore? It's a question that I get asked quite often, but in different formats. Basically, it's the idea about wanting to stick to something for a long enough period of time that it results in some fruits. Because a lot of times what we do, not only as INFJs, but I think as people in general, is that we start off with something very enthusiastically. We're like, oh my God, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna knit a sweater. And I'm speaking from experience. And so we kind of like go into it gung-ho, and then we start off, and then little by little, as time passes by, our enthusiasm for the activity wanes. It becomes smaller and smaller, eventually disappearing completely. And we wonder to ourselves, all right, should I even bother doing this anymore? Is it something that I should just give up? And then usually we do give up. And then we move on to something else completely enthusiastically. And again, the same cycle repeats itself over and over again. And so I've noticed kind of myself, I've been trying to work with my procrastination tendencies and work along with my personality rather than against it. And so I've kind of built a couple of systems for myself that have helped me stick to something for a long period of time. One of the things I've told you before that helps me a lot is to have a proper vision for the activity that I'm doing. The only reason I've been able to stick to doing these videos every single day for the last 4 years is not because I'm a very enthusiastic person or a very motivated person or disciplined. Partly a little bit of that, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that it aligns with my vision and mission for my life. My vision or mission for my life is I want to give back to the world. I want to have an impact, and I want to do it by doing these videos, by getting to all those younger, lonely INFJs, teaching them about themselves, and perhaps making them less lonely, right? That's a big part of it. Not all of it, but a big part of it. And so therefore, for me, sticking to this comes very easily, even when I get up in the morning sometimes and I'm like, I don't want to do a video. I'd rather do anything else on the planet than do a video. In those moments, what do? I remind myself of my vision. I remind myself of why am I doing this, right? And so if you have a strong enough why, as Simon Sinek says, there's a book that he's written about it as well. If you have a big enough why and you're able to stick to your vision or mission and really have it motivate you for a long period of time, you can stick to a lot of different things that are in your life, right? Now, if you don't really have a vision or a mission, sometimes you're just doing things randomly, like picking up a random hobby here or there. For example, I started playing the ukulele just for fun, just because I wanted to do it. There's no bigger mission for it. I don't want to play for some ravaged countries in the future, or I don't want to do something really big with it. I just want to do it for myself because I love music and I love to sing and things like that. When it's something small like that, I've noticed what I do is, and something that I've kind of noticed other people do as well, is that I'll have a couple of different new hobbies that I'll start at the same time, or a couple of different things that I'll be looking at the same time. So when I started playing the ukulele, I also started I also started knitting a sweater for my sister. And so I started them in tandem. But what I did was that, whenever I would start with something, so I'd play the ukulele for a little bit of time, maybe a few days on end, and I get really enthusiastic about it in the beginning. But as I said, time passes by and your enthusiasm decreases. And so when I noticed that my enthusiasm was kind of reaching that 0 point, what I did was I moved on to knitting instead. So I kind of went back and forth between the two activities. So I'd do the ukulele for a couple of weeks, and then I'd get bored of it, and then I start knitting the sweater. And then I'd get bored of that, and then I'd kind of go back to the ukulele. So I kind of rotated back and forth between the two activities, because as soon as I started getting bored with one, there was this other activity to run to, or to work with, or to focus on, right? And then when I started getting bored of that, instead of moving on to something completely different, which is what most of us will do, instead of doing that, I was like, all right, let's move back to the ukulele thing, right? And so that's what I would recommend to you, is that what we do, as I said, is that we constantly keep on moving to a new activity every single time. We move from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another. But if we have these two kind of activities that we want to do, and we are really enthusiastic about it in the beginning, we can kind of go back and forth between the two. Now, this is something that I've built into my schedule and into my psyche, so I know that, I move from project to project. The same thing with my procrastination as well. During the day, I have several different projects that I'm working on. And so I'll wake up in the morning, I'll be like, all right, let's do some videos today. So I'll do the videos, and then I have another project that I'm working on. And so I'll do some writing, and another project, maybe I'll do some podcasting. And so I kind of have like 2, 3, 4 different activities, different projects, so that once I sometimes don't feel like doing videos, some days I'll wake up and like, I really don't want to do a video, I can do something else instead. So I'm not really procrastinating, really. I am procrastinating on that particular item, but I'm still being productive, right? And I think that's the essence of it, is that it's okay to procrastinate on a certain item as long as you're still being productive. Unfortunately, what we do as individuals, as human beings, we have a tendency to say, let's throw the whole bathwater out with the baby, right? So instead of actually be like, all right, fine, I can procrastinate on this. I'm not in the mood to do my videos. All right, cool. I don't have to do that today. I'm going to focus on something else. Yeah. So I'm still being productive, and I'm still working on something. I'm still creating something, not necessarily what was on my schedule, but that's because I'm procrastinating on it. Tomorrow, maybe I'll wake up with more enthusiasm for it, and then I can do the video then. Or maybe I won't, and I'll procrastinate for another day. I'll focus on something else, right? The third thing I do want to mention here is that some days you will wake up and not want to do anything. And really, you have to kind of give yourself that space and time. I notice for myself that some days I will wake up and I'll be in that lazy mode where I just want to sit in bed, eat a lot of chips, jalapeno chips from Miss Vicky's, my favorite, and read a lot of manga. And I just don't want to do anything else. I really don't. And so on those days, I mean, I know those days are appearing, and they usually happen at certain times in my cycle, for sure. I know this is going to happen at certain time in my cycle. And so I'll get up and I'm like, all right, I know I'm not going to do anything today, so I'll make sure that I rearrange my schedule so that a lot of the important activities for today will be moved on to some other day. And I will take that day. I will take that day just to sit around, eat chips, a family pack of chips by myself, and read a lot of manga. And I noticed that after I do that for 1 day, 2 days, I get so enthusiastic and excited to go back to my work that I go back and do all the work that I missed out on a couple of days, right? And so some days, sometimes you're going to be procrastinating and you're going to be productive. Some days you're going to want to just rest and do nothing. Some days you're going to want to move from one activity to another. Some days you're going to want to stick with the activity that you want. And I think that flexibility is something that we really need to run with. We need to realize that we are not machines. We're not automatons. Even though the industry and the world and the media wants us to become automatons and to become these robots that don't think and just work, we're not like that. We are still human beings, and we need to figure out ways of motivating ourselves, but also to take time to be a human being sometimes, to play, to have fun with it, to roam around the land, to go for a walk instead of doing your work. I do that a lot. Sometimes I'll get up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything, so I'll just go for a walk. Or I'll get up and I'll want to do loads of work, and I'll take advantage of my energy and enthusiasm for that day, and I'll get a lot of stuff done, right? So that when those days come and I don't want to do anything, I have a little bit of buffer, right? And so make sure that you kind of work with your personality, with your traits, with yourself rather than against yourself. And I notice that a lot of us do this, is that, we kind of force ourselves to work in a certain way because we think society works in that way, or, everyone else is doing that, so I should do as well. Not everyone else is doing that, of course, and a lot of people have different ways of working, and most people kind of have to adjust themselves to the world. Not the world adjusting to them, but they have to adjust to the world, right? And so figure yourself out, learn about yourself. What are your traits? How do you like to work? Maybe you are a night owl and you're constantly trying to push yourself to work in the mornings, and that's why you never get anything done, or the other way around. I'm a morning person. I can't get anything done at night. No matter what you tell me to do, I will do it in the morning. I'll get up at 5 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, but I cannot work after 7 p.m. My brain just doesn't work after that time. And I know that about me, and so I just don't do any work at night. I just don't. I read, or I'll, read my mangas, or I'll chill out, go for a walk. But, I work with myself, not against myself. And so really, I want you guys, people, guys, gals, whoever you are, I want you to understand yourself and then work with your traits and capacities rather than against it, okay? And so I think it'll be really useful for you to start, first of all, figuring yourself out. How do you like to work? What are your traits? How are you a morning person? Are you a night owl? When are you most enthusiastic about work? Perhaps you get this buzz of energy in the middle of the night to do something. Do the work in the middle of the night then. A lot of my friends are night owls, and they'll wake up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. buzzing with energy, and that's when they usually do most of their work. So, go along with your schedule, go along with your body, and go along with your personality. Don't go against it. I hope this was useful to whoever asked the question. It's a good question to ask, and it's good that you're asking it right now so you can start working along with your systems and build your systems. It'll be great if you can do that. If you have any questions or if you feel like I haven't answered something, please comment below and I shall do a follow-up. Again, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.